right? Sorry, I want to rewind real quick. Rewind real quick. Bank of America, then I went to Citizen Bank, and I quit corporate America at 23 years old.
This is the Money Seed Podcast, where we discuss all things investing, plain and simple, the way it should be. Please remember, this show is for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not intended to be investment advice. Welcome back to the Money Seed Podcast. Today, my guest is Alex Edwards. Alex made headlines a few years ago when he had an article in Newsweek magazine about how he purchased a rental property for his 2-year-old son. Since then, I believe he has bought another investment property for his 2-year-old daughter. And today, Alex is with us to talk about his life, his book called Mortgage Before Marriage, how he became a real estate investor and an entrepreneur. Alex, welcome to the show.
How you doing? How you doing? Thank you for having me.
Alex, I love your story, but let's start at the most interesting bit, which really caught my eye a couple of years ago, is that Newsweek article where you went out and you purchased an investment property for your 2-year-old son. How did that come about?
I'm not paying for college for my kids. And you know what? I had to really think out the box and make sure I didn't set my kids up for failure. We all know we could go to school, you get a good education, but we also need execution. I don't know how my kids are going to grow up. I don't know who they're going to be. One thing I do know, Carter has a home where he could make mistakes trying to figure out who he wants to be in life. He could go to school without being in debt when he graduates because of this asset. So that's the reason why I bought my son a home at 2 years old instead of saving for college. Because why should I pay for his schooling when I could have the tenants pay for it?
I think that is an excellent idea. And I've seen other people do similar type of setups for their children, where they buy a duplex. Maybe sometimes even when a child decides to go to college, the parents help the child buy a duplex, so the child's living in the property, and then they rent out the other rooms to their classmates, etc. Then that helps pay it off after 4 or 5 years. They can refinance or sell, and next thing you know, they have a financial head start in their adult life. But I think it's a fantastic setup, right? I mean, so it looks like Carter, your son, is looking at 15, 16 years of mortgage pay down before he's even 18. That's wild.
Yeah, Carter J. Edwards, correct.
And so since then, Alex, your second child, your younger one, is a daughter, and you've done the same for your daughter, correct?
So we did. That's still under agreement. The first one kind of fell through, so we're now looking for our daughter. Since then, we did buy more investment properties. Since then, we did develop more condos in the city of Boston. But that gem, Carter. That when you buy for your kids, you have to buy the right one. You have to definitely buy the one that if they had to resell for any reason, which and I don't want them to, it's in a great location, has a driveway, has a yard, it has more than 3 bedrooms in each unit. These are the things, and multiple bathrooms. These are the things I look for because you have to think ahead. I don't want to leave a bad situation to my children. So we're almost there with Cali.
And Alex, this was not your first investment property. I think you've been in real estate for many years. Maybe tell us how you got started in real estate.
Okay. So when I was in high school, so in Boston, Massachusetts, hands down, I want to shout out to Mayor Wu, and all the mayors before her. Boston, Massachusetts have probably the most resources for home ownership. So if you want to become a homeowner in Boston, you could become a homeowner overnight, right? And when I was in high school, I took the first time homebuyer class. I'm in 10th grade. I'm like, I got nothing to lose. Success doesn't have an age limit. Let me just take this class that the city of Boston is offering. So I take this class in high school, and moving forward, going through high school, my brother wanted to purchase a home and wanted to go half, so we was going to be business partners. So I got a job at Bank of America when I got out of high school. At the age of like 19, I was in Brookline, Massachusetts. So I was working at bank, but I understood money. That's what I learned at Bank of Money. I understood money at Bank of America, and I also realized people with money and time. When I was growing up, you could pick one. You can't have money and time. At Bank of America, the clients there had money and time. And I was seeing that bank account every day because I was a teller. So I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Right. So at this time, I'm learning this is like a crash course in finances. I'm learning this, and now I'm in school for business administration. And so my professor said, class, go home and start a business and start a, buy something and run it like a business. So a couple of weeks later, I come back to school and said, Professor, guess what? What? Alex, tell me. So I say, I bought a house. And he goes, what? I said, yes. And I'm going to run it like a business. Now there's a multifamily, five bedrooms, five bedrooms and five bedrooms on top, two baths at the bottom and two bathrooms. And he said, I can't believe it. I said, guess what? He said, you got more news? I said, yes, I got more news. He said, what? I said, this is the last time you ever going to see me because I can't pay for school and a mortgage. And that was the last time that professor seen me. Um, and just moving forward, because that was around 2000. I bought my house 2006. And I got hit with a bad mortgage. Got hit with a bad mortgage. My brother said, "Hey, I can't no longer be a business partner." He had kids, and he had to just take care of his responsibility. I dropped out of school. I had a bad loan, right? So I had two loans. One was a principal, one was a junior. And so I decided to file bankruptcy, and I got rid of $89,000. Then I got a loan modification, so it dropped down a lot of the principal. So today, um, you know, I owe about a little over $100,000 on that particular home, but it's grossing over $5,000. And the mortgage is about $1,200 a month. So that's a story of just turning something bad into good. And I know that was a lot. I
No,
know that was,
I think there's a lot of good nuggets in there, Alex.
yep.
But so I would really want to get back to that high school. So you actually had the opportunity to take a class in high school called home buying course. I've never heard of such a high
The
school
first
class. I
time
think,
home buyer class. Yep.
yeah, that's
Well, the
really cool.
city the city offered it, so it was after school. I went to a city center.
Got it. I think that's really cool that you had that opportunity. I wish
Yep.
there would have been a course like that for me when I was in high school. But is there anything that you remember from that class?
Yeah, definitely a lot. I mean, I'm a real estate broker now, so I got to teach the class now. Um, I know everything.
And I
So
mean, did that class give you any more confidence on how to go? Like, do you think that it helped with your first deal?
absolutely. You know, just simple stuff, attorney, what kind of real estate agent, what to look for when you touring the house, what to expect at closing, stuff like that. That's what it prepares you for. Insurance, um, how to deal with tenants. So it had, yeah, definitely prepared me.
And Alex, maybe talk a little bit more about that first deal that you got yourself into during the time when you were a student at business school. Because I think a lot of young investors who are in their 20s, mid 20s, early 20s, just like you were when at the time,
Yeah.
is it can seem quite daunting, right? Because they look at a property and say, oh man, this thing cash flows, it's good, but it's hard to get the down payment. It's hard to,
Yeah.
convince the bank that you can make the monthly payments, et cetera. How were you able to get into that property?
Well, one, I had a good job. I actually was making some decent money at the bank, and then I also had a second job. as a PCA, personal care attendant, right? And then two, again, my brother was supposed to be my business partner. So it looks like everything I had everything going for me. When buying a multifamily, it's easier to buy a multifamily than a single family because they're using 75% of the rental income. So if you go bigger, you're in a better position. The bank is thinking, you know what, Alex, if you buy a four family instead of a single family, I'll give you more money. Because I believe that if you lose your job, you have tenants to help you pay this mortgage. But if you lose your job with a single, you have no one. And that's the thing that everyone needs to understand. Because a lot of times people think you go bigger, you're more risk. No, 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 no. It's the other way around. You bring in less money, you're more of a risk.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point. Yeah. And Alex, tell me a little bit more about that bankruptcy. It sounds like, I mean, 2006, 2007, I know that the real
Hey,
estate
yep.
market was going through a difficult time, but it sounds like you were able to survive the bankruptcy and still stay in the property.
I survived everything. Yeah, so my back was against the wall. I didn't want to be embarrassed. You know, I got taken advantage of, which now I'm looking back at it, I'm happy that it happened. I can't lie. But it was adjustable rate. I went from paying like 2300 paying $3,000 in no time. And again, bought my house at 20, so 21, 22. I was not buying Jordans or going on vacation. When I went to the bar with my friends and it was my time to buy a round, I would buy one drink and send it around because I was that broke. I was dealing with this mortgage and honestly didn't know how I was going to pay for it. So I got another job, and it's just it was tough. I can't lie. It wasn't easy so whatsoever. It was very tough. It was very tough. And I believe I went through all that pain to live the life I'm living now. Right. And would I do it again? Absolutely. I'll do it again. I'll do it again knowing that how it turned out. Right. So yeah, I got an adjustable rate and it could have went downhill, but again, I filed bankruptcy. But the thing I want people to understand, I filed bankruptcy and a loan modification. My attorney never seen that done. Both bankruptcy and loan modification. So I filed bankruptcy, took away 89,000, and then turned around and modified my loan and got me a fixed rate.
Amazing.
So I won at the end, and again, is in Boston, Massachusetts. For a 5 bedroom in Boston, Massachusetts right now, it's almost reaching $4,000. Right?
Like per
And then
month
for
rent, right?
yeah, correct, per
Right.
month. And then for downstairs has a 3 bedroom. 3 bedrooms around like $3,000. So that's $7,000 that I could be making, and the mortgage is only $1,200. Right? So I went through all that pain to get to here and to buy my kids homes and to get and buy more homes before I got married. And my wife did the same thing before we got married. So it was, sometimes like a bamboo. I just learned a bamboo tree. It takes 5 years for a bamboo tree to grow. So that in that 5 years, that foundation is growing. And once it's out the ground, tall and strong. Maybe that
That's
was
it.
me.
That's it. And Alex, rather than get discouraged, it sounds like you doubled down on real estate. Tell me a little bit about your journey since then.
Oh, since then, so after that, I um I jumped into a flip. It was a great opportunity again in a great area of Boston, Massachusetts, close to downtown Boston. It was my first flip, and I I made over $100,000 with that flip. And I remember going to the bank every day. I had the app, but I wanted the receipt to show for the very first time Alex E. Edwards has $100,000 in his bank account. I mean, I went every day checking. Was it in there yet? Did the wife send? And I was just so excited. And that moment changed everything for me. That moment I realized how powerful real estate is, right? Sorry, I want to rewind real quick. Rewind real quick. Bank of America, then I went to Citizen Bank, and I quit corporate America at 23 years old. I quit corporate America, I fired my job at 23 years old, and I never looked back. And I jumped in and became a real estate agent full time. Full time.
That's
I just
incredible.
have to throw that out there. So you're looking at a man that hasn't had a job since he was 23.
That's incredible. So you
And
quit
don't
your
let that go over your
W-2.
head.
Yeah, you quit your W-2 at 23 years old. That's incredible, Alex. What gave you the confidence at 23 that it's going to be okay?
You know what? I don't know if it was confidence. It was ego. I'm not gonna say confidence. Ego. I, you know, I was promised a position in the bank, and the person that promised me the position got fired or quit. And this new person was like, "You have to prove yourself to me now." And this person didn't get out her chair and greet me. He sat in her chair and looked up and said, "You have to prove yourself to me." And that crushed me. That like it crushed me. At that point, I was like, you know what? I know this life isn't for me. And that's the last time corporate America ever seen me that day because of that woman. I guess thank you to that woman. But that was the last time that office ever seen me. Just like I guess college, I walked out. I said it ain't for me. No 2 weeks notice. I probably gave them a 10-minute notice or 5-minute notice, and that was it. And so become a real estate agent, do my first flip, make some money, and I'm like, yeah, this is real estate. I love it. This is it. This is what I want to be. I want to be in real estate for a very long time. And then, I met my wife and we made a decision that it was extremely important before, getting married. We wanted mortgages. We wanted mortgages. So she got a mortgage and she was making over $3,000 profit. And so, of course, I had my home already, and our tenants paid for our wedding, but they wasn't invited, and that was another highlight. Like, what are this is real estate. This is for real,
Yeah.
real estate. It's real. You
Alex,
can't make
it's
it up.
yeah, absolutely. And it sounds like you're leading into your book, which is entitled Mortgage Before Marriage. And I want to get to that book, but I want to rewind it for a little bit there.
No, no,
Getting
go
back
ahead.
to
Take your
that.
time. It's your show. You take your time.
No, it's cool because it's interesting how you said that, there was like that came at that moment in the bank where there was a change in the position. You were promised something, it didn't work
Yeah,
out. A new person comes in and now it's a new paradigm.
yeah,
And, I've been in corporate America now for over 20 years at various companies. And that's why I tell people it's like in corporate America, things change so often that every time one of my managers or directors promises something, it's like in the back of my mind, I know that there's like an 80, sometimes 90% chance that that will not come to pass. Sometimes it's because the person was just not honest and they promised something they shouldn't have. But most of the time, it's not that. Most of the time, circumstances change, right? Like the company loses a big client or a big customer, and now they don't have the money that that they thought they were going to have when they made that promise. Or there's, oh, Gabe, next year we're going to have this new project, and I'll let you lead it, whatever. But then the company, like there's an economic downturn, company doesn't have the money, and now they can't fulfill that promise even if they wanted to. And so people who stay in corporate America, I think after a while, you just get conditioned to just not
yeah.
really think all that much about it. So, I mean, I applaud you for just putting your foot down and saying, I'm not going to put up with this for another 20, 30 years. I'm out. I think that's really cool.
Yep. Thank you. Appreciate that.
So, Alex, you've been a broker. You're a real estate investor. Tell me a little bit more about your book. It's called Mortgage Before Marriage. What prompted you to write a book? I mean, it sounds like you're busy. You got a young family. You're self-employed. I mean, how did you find the time to write the book, and what is it about?
This is one of the And I tell everyone this. I'll give you your money back. This is one of the best financial books you could ever read because it's real. It's none of that fluffy stuff. It's about love. It's about marriage. It's about mortgages. And it's mortgage before mortgage before marriage, finances before fiance, Rockefeller before Beyonce, right? We don't gossip, we boss up, right? And this book is really speaking to the next generation, to the present generation, and the generation that came before us, honestly. And we're talking about the mistakes that the last generation made, the mistakes this generation made, so we could avoid, so the next generation could avoid all those mistakes. And I put it in such a way anyone can understand, and it's so entertaining. It's especially when I speak in a third voice. It's so entertaining. It's amazing. It's a good book. Again, look, if you don't like it, I will give you your money back. I'm excited about it. Um, Tyler Perry and other directors will make movies of the stories in the book. I'm talking that um, um, into real life. But yeah, I had the time to write it because look what I've been through. Bankruptcy, again, and not to bad talk at my family members, but I thought I had a partner, you know, gone. Corporate America wasn't good. I had to quit corporate America. School had to leave school. And honestly, I went through all of this just to chase today. To be here on this podcast with you. I did all of that to chase today. So I had time to write it. I'm happy I wrote it. And yeah, reviews are amazing. I'm psyched. And the women, women, 20% of women are in bad relationships that they can't afford to get out.
Mhm.
Right? I have a daughter now, Callie Edwards, and I'll be damned. My little angel say, "Daddy, this is not the best relationship for me, but I didn't make the right financial decisions in life, and I can't leave." And this book is for her, for all the little girls, all the grown women in this world, so they don't ever be in that predicament. And for my son to always think about finances, think about himself first, love himself first before he love anybody else's debt, credit, or finances. Make sure he loves himself first. So that's why I wrote the book.
And Alex, and when you were writing the book, who was
Mhm.
your ideal reader? What age group?
25 to 35.
25 to 35?
25 to 35. I really want high school, but I think 25 to 35, they will buy this book and probably give it to a high schooler. Um, so in that age range, 25 to 35, yeah.
And Alex, maybe tell us a little bit about some of the nuggets in the book. What do you think is some of the biggest financial mistakes people make in their 20s?
In their 20s, not thinking about the future. That's easy. Not thinking about tomorrow at all. You don't want stuff easy, right? You know, and also I think but the mistakes start earlier than the 20s though. When you're s- when you're when if you're a parent and you're listening, you can't tell your kids to go to college. Don't go to college, that's it. Go to college. That's all you want from them? All right, fine. They went to college. They spent 4 years in college and they work at Dunkin' Donuts. Now what? They did everything you told them to do. So I think
Yeah.
that's the first mistake. In the book, what is your life like? Tell me about your future lifestyle. Where do you want to live when you're 30, 35? What kind of car you want to drive? Okay, how many times you want to go out for dinner? Okay, how many gifts you want to buy? How many vacations? many times do you want to go out shopping? Calculate that up. Calculate that. All right. It comes up to $100,000. Their lifestyle. Their major needs to make more than $100,000. So guess what? Now we can pick. Now I can focus on your major. So what's your passion? You want to be a teacher? All right. Well, you can't have this lifestyle. You might want to think about this, or a different type of teacher. So now you talking. Now you're talking to your child, and your child is now thinking in a different light. Not just go to college. No, you have to go to college and have a great lifestyle, so you don't regret just going to college. I think we make as parents, they make that mistake all the time.
All the
And we
time,
have to
all the
talk, yeah,
time.
we have to talk about lifestyle. Like lifestyle, we have to go major minus lifestyle. It should be positive, right? Your major making you $200,000, your lifestyle's $100,000. Guess what? Take away that 100,000, you still have $100,000 left. It's a great life. After all your bills is paid, you have $100,000 a year. That's a great life. But we put, no, just go to college. Just go to college. And you come out and your major is 30,000 or 40,000, but you want $100,000 lifestyle.
Yeah, and I think this is the generation now, right? The kids who are just graduating college, who are just under 30. I think this generation realized that life is not as simple as just going to college. You know, maybe in the 1950s when relatively few people went to college, maybe that was some kind of an easier path to financial security or financial stability. But today you can't even say that, right? Most college graduates are struggling to have a high paying job. They're struggling to keep up with student debt, which is ballooned. So like it's not as easy as just go to college and everything's going to be fine. I think people are going to have to get a lot more creative. They're going to have to think a lot more about these life decisions. Whereas a lot of kids are just sleepwalking into this. You know, they're 18 years old. Yeah, just pick some major, go to college, you'll be fine. It's like, no, no, no. Life has
I
gotten more
agree.
complicated. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I agree 100%. It's like going to college and just that's it. Just going to college without any direction is like the American diet when they have all this meat, milk. It's like, yeah, this is a great diet. Bull crap. Okay, bull crap. You find out when you have diabetes that was bull crap, and you find out when you broke and your debt to income is extremely high that just going to college was bull crap. That's the truth. I'm not saying don't go to college. I'm just saying if you choose to go to college, make sure you understand your lifestyle, your future lifestyle.
That's exactly it. And, you know, one of the easier way to do it is if you know somebody who is 17 or 18 years old and they're thinking about, you know, if I'm going to go to college and what major I'm going to take, like you said, just do some research. You know, what is the average starting salary of people who graduate with that degree? How many of them actually find a job in their degree in the first 12 months post graduation? All these stats are readily available if people want to look, right? Or another one I like to tell people is if you pick an industry, okay, now go and look at the financial statements of that industry and see what kind of profit margins those companies are running, right? If somebody would have told me, you know, because in the 1990s, in the Midwest, you know, everything was about manufacturing and the auto industry.
Yep,
I grew
yep.
up around Detroit and it was just like, yeah, just go to the auto industry. It's a no-brainer, man. You know, good salary, stable job. You know, these union jobs are for life. Life is easy. It's good. It's there. And if somebody would have told me, it's like, look, dude, just look at these car companies, man. Like they're running on a 2% profit margin, right? Like any kind of an economic recession is going to lead to mass layoffs, right? Or look how they're losing market share to the Japanese. They're not going to
I
keep
was
this
just
up.
about to
Like
say that. Yeah,
like the writing was on the wall, clear as day, and nobody really talked about it. I don't, you know, it was just just go to college, just you'll be fine. And it's like I don't know, man. Like it's not that hard. Just if you know where to look, the information's there.
that's that. Great point. Point. That was phenomenal point. You know, I realize I'm not in love with real estate. It's not like my passion. It's my vehicle. That's two different things. It's my vehicle. And what's my passion? It's me like writing this book. It's like it's blurred out, but this is this I've I found my passion. What you just said is no way the hands will make more money than the mind. I could sell this book in Africa or in Australia. I cannot sell a home in Africa or Australia. And that's the truth. And that's the truth. So the idea is less service and more product, right? If you create product of people around the world to use it, if you are a coach, a gym trainer, you're only training at the gym up the street. You're not training around the world. And that's why tech is doing very well, right? So if I know this, right? If I know this, why would I jump into service knowing that I might regret it, that I might regret it, knowing where the world is going, right? So these are the conversations we need to have with our generation now. We need generation now and the next. Because something has to change. We can't keep copying the last generation over and over. I call it the diabetes effect. If my great grandmother taught my grandmother how to cook fried chicken and she got diabetes, and then she taught my mother that recipe, and then my mother taught me the recipe, we all got diabetes. So if you teach someone, if the last generation teaches something the wrong thing, guess what? We're gonna keep teaching the wrong thing.
Well said. Well said. Alex, when I read the Newsweek magazine article about you and your son, you talked about generational wealth. What does generational wealth mean to you?
Generational wealth is just giving the next generation a chance to F up. I always say that. I'm giving them a chance to mess up. And when I say that, I'm giving them a chance to find who they are. Like, find out. My ego made me leave corporate America. A lot of people have said, hell no, this is security. I'm not going anywhere. I don't know if I'm going to find myself on the other side of that door. This might be me following someone else's dream might be the best thing for me. Right? But I said, you know what? There's something on that other side. Let me go see what's going on. And generational wealth is me giving my kids and my great grandkids, my grandkids, the option to walk out and figure out what's on the other side of that door. Because they're financially secure because of the decisions and the seeds in that bamboo tree I plant today.
And I think it's in line with what you said earlier, right, about your daughter, right? Because a lot of people can get trapped in a situation, right, where I think because you were giving that example about, you know,
Yep.
if in the future your daughter is in a relationship where she's not happy or she's not safe, but she can't leave because of finances, right? And I think you said something like 20% of women in America are in that type of a situation.
Oh.
Whereas, you know, men can be in a similar type situation too, where, you know, men are
it's like
working a job
4%.
that they really, really don't
Oh, yeah.
like, or a job that's abusive, but they have to work because they have bills, they have financial obligations to their family, like the mortgage, this and that. So you're right. Yeah, that's a big part of it is if you have a little bit of a financial head start in life, you have some financial security behind you, then you can make the right decision for yourself.
Yep. I made money, lost a lot of money, made a lot of money. And guess what? Always stay the same. In any recession, any home I had with the government, meaning the tenants had like government assistance, and so the government was paying me my rent. Rent always came in any recession. The people are in recession, not the government. So the rent was steady, and that's what I want for my children. I don't. Yeah, the world's in chaos, but I'm collecting this rent over here from the government. They still paying me. They say they don't got no money, and that's why everyone's losing their jobs, but they still paying me.
Alex, as we move toward wrapping up this interview, do you have any other advice for people, young people just finishing up high school or just maybe thinking about college? They're early on in their careers or their entrepreneurial journey. What advice would you have for them?
Can I do young people and older people?
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Young people, I would say this. if you can start a business right away, you're in a great position. You're living at home. If you don't, if the business is not successful, guess what? You still go home to mama. If you don't start a business, guess what? You still go home to mama. So the thing is, start a business now. Feel like get used to trying stuff and it's not working out so you can figure out how to make it work. You have no kids right now. You probably have no mortgage right now. If you're 14, 16, this is the best time to try everything possible. I don't care if you're selling pens. Figure out how to sell a pen. Because if you could sell one, you could sell a million. So this is the moment right now because you have a parachute called parents that's going to have your back and support you. And if you strike gold, you are now thinking about college in a different way. You are looking at majors like, how can I make more money than my business now? Because I'm not going to pick a major and make less money. Or you're going to say, hey, I'm going to go to college so I could learn this skill to take my business to another level. So start a business right away because success doesn't have an age. Start a business. Parents, help your children see the light. Help them start a business. YouTube, I think any child between 4 and 10 could be millionaires on YouTube right now. Because
Absolutely.
kids sell. That, that's the point. You can't boo God and you can't boo kids. That's the truth, right? That's the truth,
Yeah,
right? And adults, I got you, adults. Adults, it's time. It's it's time to start dating the right people. I think a lot of times we date the wrong person for a very long time because we get comfortable. Because we get comfortable, we used to the wrong person in our life. I don't think love could survive broke. And financial reasons is the second most reason why people get divorced.
hmm
So if we could figure that out while we're dating, and I could figure out my financial life, and you could figure out your financial life, and we come together, we're gonna be dynamic. But we have to be vulnerable to understand that love cannot pay the bills. We cannot call our mortgage company and say, hey, I'm in love this month. I can't pay you. Or call the utility company and say the same thing. So we have to talk about finances as a couple and as a couple and as an individual. So if you sleeping with somebody every single night, guess what? That same bed could be a good space to create a business plan. That same bed could be a good space to create an idea to get better, to improve your credit, to make more money. If you're gonna give someone your body, then we might as well work on some finances too, right? So that's my tips. And one more tip in the book is a good exercise that I love doing at workshops. Create a vision board for one another. So I would say my wife's name is Joanna. Joanna, this is what I see in you. This is what I know you could be, who I know you could be. And I'll write everything down or Google it and show her pictures. And she's going to do the same for me, right? That exercise is extremely important. And guess what? Next, I want you to write down all your strengths, not your weaknesses. We're gonna hire someone to take care of your weaknesses. We just want your strengths. Just want your strengths. That's
sorry,
all we
Alex.
want is your strengths.
Yeah, Alex, can you tell me a little bit more about the vision board?
The
What did
vision
you?
board.
Yeah, what do you mean by googling up pictures, etc.?
So I would say so if I'm talking to my wife and we're doing this exercise, right? So sometimes we do it and I would be in a crowd of 100 people. and I'll have to do the exercise real quick. So I'll start at the beginning and say, hey, we're going to do an activity. I need three people. I need three couples to volunteer. I need you guys to find something online, three things that symbolize the person you know your significant other could be, right? So it could be finances, a bigger house, in shape, a phenomenal husband, a phenomenal father. This is stuff they'll look for real quick, right? But if you're at home, you can really write it down. Boom. Then they'll come up, stand up and say, hey, sweetheart, so I picked this for you because I know you're an extremely strong person and I know you could run a corporation one day and da 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 da. Right. And then now that person is going to have to read what they found in front of everybody about you. Hey, sweetheart, this is what I see in you. This is how I know you could be. Right. And so that's the vision board for one another. I'm not doing it for myself, and my wife's not doing it for her. We're going to do it for each other. I want her to do one for me. I'm going to do one for her.
That's
You
really cool.
understand?
Yeah, that's really cool. And getting back to your earlier comment, I absolutely 100% agree that couples need to talk about money. I'm always blown away. I'm very lucky. My wife and I have been married for almost 20 years. I think we're coming up on our 19th wedding anniversary. And we have a very open book policy on the money. Like, we all know, both of us know exactly how much is in the bank account. We both know what the bills are, whether we're under budget, over budget, and this and that. So we have a very open dialogue all the time about that. But I'm always blown away when I hear a story about how, one member of a couple has no idea about the financial picture. They have no idea how much money's in the bank. They have no idea how much they spent last month. They have no idea if they're saving or not. And it's like, no, you have to understand the money. Like you said earlier, it's probably the number one or number two reason why relationships fail, why people get divorced. I mean, it's very difficult to overcome money problems as a couple, right?
It's very different. And I'm not saying relationships should be only about money. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's hard to be broke in love, in a relationship with kids. That's extremely hard. It's extremely hard. I never met a wealthy person say, I am going to live in one of the worst areas in that city because I want to. And that's the truth. That might sound bad, but that's the truth. And those people living at a certain area, they're going to make that, when they get money, they're going to make that area better or move out or do both. But they're not going to sit there and say, nope, this is where I'm from. I'm making a lot of money. I'm saying it's just hard being broke, and especially being in love and a parent. It's hard. It's extremely hard. And we've been lied to for so long. And it's just, and that's why I wrote the book, Mortgage Before Marriage, Finances Before Fiance, Rockefeller Before Beyonce. We need to know the truth. You found out the truth. You've been married for 19 years and you speak about finances. How many of your friends could say, hey, yeah, I speak about my finances too. Oh, did your parents teach you that? Say, hey, you should talk. Think about that. They couldn't even. In the, I'm sorry for keep plugging the book. It sounds like I'm just, but I have another exercise that you do with your kids. Let them pay a bill. Give them the light bill. Give them your checkbook. Here, boom, boom, boom. You have my checkbook. The checkbook's right here on the counter. You have to pay this every month. Mail it out. They're gonna look. Oh, damn! Why is the light bill so high this month? You tell me. Why is the gas bill this? You tell me. Now they understand. You know what they understand is how much how much it costs to actually live. So that now they're not going to be, I can't wait to leave you, Dad. I can't wait to get out this house. They're going to be like, nah, I'm not going, no, man. I saw that gas bill. I saw the, I'm going to save my chips and get a house and still stay. Because you told them, if you leave, that checkbook stays there. And you're going to have your own checkbook on your counter and pay your own bills. But we don't show, we keep our kids like snuggle and we don't show them that. Another exercise in the book, have your kids pay for toilet paper. Pay for toothpaste. Pay for all the little things they need in the house with their allowance. At the end of the year, give them all the money back like taxes. If and see what they do with the lump sum of money.
I think that's great advice. And I never thought of that,
See
but that
what
actually makes a lot of sense.
see
Yeah.
what they do, and you'll see if you're a good parent or not.
Yeah. I think
You'll
that's
see if you're a good
great.
parent.
Yeah. I think that's a great parenting advice, man. That's really cool.
Yeah, and again, it has the actual all the steps is in the book. It's easy to read. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Give your child a fighting chance. That's all I'm saying.
Alex, thanks very much for your time today. I really enjoyed this interview. Again, the book is Mortgage Before Marriage, and I'll put the link in the show notes. Thanks very much for sharing your story. I think your story is really motivational. It's inspirational, and I love your message. And I think your kids are very lucky to have a dad like you.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Have a good night, Alex. Thanks.
All right, you too.